Awesome. Hello, welcome everyone with Frozen in the background, singing away. Welcome today to, I don't even know what week we're in. All I know is it's 2021. Happy New Year, everyone. We're so happy that you get to join us here today. Really, it's going to be a conversation. So I hope that you join the conversation along with us. Spending this new year just kind of visiting about what we learned in 2020, what our hopes are, and I hope that you join us in the comments. So we'll kick it off with intros in case you guys forgot who we are, or if this is your first time being here, welcome. Hello everyone, my name is Shailene. Shailene Joseph, to be specific. I'm Aani from Fort Belknap, Montana on my mom's side, and Koyukon Athabascan from Tanana, Alaska on my dad's side. I work for the Native Wellness Institute alongside the Indigenous 20-somethings project, and I'm just really thankful to be here, especially with these amazing people. It's good to see your guys' faces, and I'll kick it over to Josh.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. My name is Josh. I'm going to go on my mom's side, Kiowa from Oklahoma, and Tongan on my dad's side. Right now, I'm sporting my Arizona Indian mustache. Just trying it out. Super happy to be here with you guys. Super happy to be in 2021. So I'll pass it over to Tomas.
Geshe. One more time for Josh's cookie duster, for his face caterpillar. It's looking great, brother. Geshe. My name's Tomas Carmelo Amaya. I am Yoeme and Ashri on my mom's side, and Raramuri on my dad's side. I'm currently in Phoenix, Arizona, the ancestral homelands of our O'odham relatives, our Yavapai, and as well as our Yaqui. So, blessing to be here, blessing to be a dad. I became a dad in 2020, and it's just a beautiful thing to go into 2021 as a dad. Looking forward to that, first year as well to celebrate and many other things. And I'm grateful to be here right now with you.
Hi, everybody. It's Asha S here. Bigay Yanashia, Tapahan Nishle, Sijakine Bashishchi, Bilaganishache, Sitna Jenny Chanela. I have my little baby Hesea right here. She's been mama's girl, so you will hear Frozen in the background whenever I'm on. And Tomas is my partner, who is also on this live. Boo. And yeah, we live here in Phoenix, Arizona. We have been a part of the Indigenous 20-somethings project since it popped off. So super excited to be here with the awesome all of us are co-founders, and it was an awesome conversation. And if you have watched our previous videos before, thank you for joining us. Whoop, whoop. Happy New Year.
Awesome. I see people in the chat introducing themselves. I hope that we can see where everybody else is watching from, and welcome. So, with that being said, we are in 2021. I was gonna say a lot has changed, but just Josh's mustache. With that being said, I think kind of something that we'll kind of hop into is conversation really about, what did we learn from 2021, or what are our reflections? And I can go ahead and kind of kick it off with mine. I've been kind of thinking, just in these last few days, what 2020 has been. And for me personally, it's been like a time of like reflection and change and slowing down a lot. I feel like at first, 2020, we had like a small window of like normal life, and then normal life became like being home all the time. And so I feel like when the pandemic hit, there was still so much more before the pandemic, right? Like stuff that we got to do. But I feel like with the pandemic, time slowed down, like time itself. And And just being home has been like this really awesome thing that I had to like re-immerse myself into. It was hard at first, just like staying in one place. I'm not used to it, or I wasn't used to it. Now I am, and I feel like I'm gonna have like a social disorder when I get out of here. And like I see people, I'm gonna be like, hi, and then carry on with life. But we'll see. I feel like 2020 has given the space for people to kind of like acknowledge certain things. I know that I had to acknowledge a lot of things that came up for me at different points of time, and really given me the space to kind of give love to those things that needed attention. It's been a time of like cooking weird things. You know, I feel like food got boring for a little while because it was kind of like the same consistency. And then we were like, let's make something weird and see what works out. It's been a year of like creativity and finding new ways of engaging and really reaching out to people and continuing conversations, even though we're physically distant, right? Still remaining social. But I think like one thing that 2020 has taught me is that there's always space and time to unlearn and relearn. And I think it goes for so many different topics. Like we've seen so many things happen in 2020, and like the engagement piece of community still being able to happen when we can't physically move somewhere. So I'm excited to see once, you know, we can get back to like regular community events, like in person, like how different they will be because of how much more we know we can do now, even though we don't have to be like in a space. I think it's just given like, I don't want to say like permissions, but it's given so much like maybe a freedom to really dive into a lot of different things and a lot of different learnings, and it just kind of makes me excited for what's to come. I think also, before I pass it over, I think, you know, 2020 has also made me slow down and like really sit with like meditation and prayer a lot more. It's a different time to not be able to attend certain things physically, things that you would normally. And so I think it's with those things, like it's made me kind of sit and be really intentional with my thoughts for those time periods, and allow myself mentally to be in those places, just as I would if I was there. And so I think, you know, just being intentional has been one of the things that I've been working on and will continue to work on in 2021. Oh geez. Okay. I'm getting all these notifications. I don't know if you guys can hear them. I will pass it over to Josh while I take care of these.
So what have we learned in 2020? This is the question. Okay. Oh man, there's a lot. I think one of the biggest things is bringing a baby into the world and having that newborn energy and learning what that's like. Sure, there was a lot of disruption in terms of like social life and home life. But I've actually spent a lot of time in the outdoors as an instructor. That's what I studied in school. And then also that was the starting point for my professional life. So kind of just hanging out with not a lot to do has been a norm for a while. This is definitely a new norm though, a new take on that. But yeah, I think just having a baby and understanding what it means to be tied to a place. So I live in Southern California now, in my partner's community. And before baby came, before Toya Holma was born, I very much felt like a visitor, and I still do. But I feel this like desire to get connected a little bit more to the family, and also to the place, the actual space where she's from, to know the plants, to know some of the stories, so that I can pass those things on. And I feel like having a brand new take on an old place is always super exciting. And really, that's what 2020 has been like. Been on Instagram for a while, but in 2020, Instagram became something else. It became like the place to get in touch with my brothers and to see what's going on with their kids, to have a look at what's going on with my sisters, rather than just something that I used to scroll through to waste time. And same with like Facebook Messenger. I mean, I bought a PlayStation, which I haven't owned a game system since the Nintendo 64, which is still going. So if you just said RIP, it's a bit too soon. But during this time, we've been able to like find these new ways to reach out and play and hang out and joke around and be with each other, which has been great. And it's been nice to live in a time where technology can give you like an instant mustache, for example, and to be able to reach across through space and time, even to be able to talk to family. My great grandpa Charlie passed away way before I was born, and he was the one who raised my mom. But when I was kind of early on in the pandemic, we were talking about, this is the time to learn your language, to learn songs, to learn stories. I reached out to some of my family members on some resources because I wanna learn that language, in my language. And I found this video on YouTube of my great grandpa and my great grandma joking around on the couch, and they're a part of this language archive that's in the Library of Congress, and it was just up there, and I'd never seen it before. So I feel like connection to family, and definitely like Shailene was talking about, connection to food has been a big theme of 2020. I'm looking forward to 2021 too. Let's get this vaccine, let's get going. But until that happens, I'm just kind of enjoying the ride and seeing where it goes. I'll pass it over to Tomas.
All right. Reflections for 2020, right? I think Josh, you and I share that in common in being new to fatherhood, and so that's always gonna be a huge part of my experience in 2020, regardless of all the other things going on. There's just something completely transformative about being a father and being an Indigenous father, and what that means, and how we bring our teachings into our daily lives to create sacred spaces for our babies. And it'll continue to be a year where I think of the lessons where I've always looked at the relationship I have with Sierra as one of great great happiness, and really two individuals working towards a healthy relationship. That being said, becoming a parent and raising a child challenges us in different ways. And I think a lot of my reflections go along with that. When I thought I'm being a really putting in a lot of effort to be a good partner, what other things do I need to be mindful of? Parenthood does that. It helps you understand certain things about your relationship with your partner. And so those are things that I've reflected on and I felt grateful for. And as far as the social distancing and being away from others, it's been hard, especially with the fact that my parents were really excited to meet Hesea, and they're getting older, and so kind of navigating those feelings and wanting them to see her early on was something that was really challenging. And I don't like to ever really fear the worst, but a lot of adversity has happened to my family, and I think that builds a certain level of trauma of being concerned. The good thing is that we stayed positive, and we stayed careful with the way that we were interacting outside of our homes. if any. And so I'm really thankful for the fact that, you know, my family has been able to take those precautions and be okay. And I just want to take this moment to send good energy to your families, to your friends. We've had friends and family members as well who have, you know, succumbed to this virus, and it's a very heartbreaking thing, right? When we lose loved ones like that. But I know for a fact that in our experience and what we draw from this time period, this journey, it's going to definitely make us stronger. As cliched as that sounds, it's going to take us into this new year already with, as Charlene had mentioned, just different ways of, you know, moving through life experiences and being prepared for whatever other waves of adversity come to our lives. And so I'm just grateful for that, grateful for this resource here at the Native Wellness Institute and all the partners that have been supporting, you know, these conversations in this power hour. It really goes beyond that hour. Some of you guys feel the same way. It's like some of the things that I learned here with my peers, I take on to speak about with Sierra or with my own family members. And so I really hope that it continues to be bountiful for you and your families as well. Those are my first few reflections. Love, have you gone?
All right, 2020 reflections. I feel like we have all gone through so much, and so I'm just proud of you all. We're still here. We're getting through it every day. I know it's challenging, but proud of you and the effort that you do, even if it's just, you know, waking up, taking a shower. That's really good for just everything that we're all going through right now. And I know it's going to be a lot to unpack as it kind of, you know, starts to settle down more, especially for our loved ones that have lost people, or our loved ones that are traumatized from going through the virus. Something that I reflected on quite a bit is before this pandemic started back in December, or well, when it was starting in China, in December, we had not this December, last December, we had we all got together at the Native Wellness Institute, and there were several trainings that had happened in San Diego. And during that time, we had a baby shower, and it was so awesome. That was pretty much like the last time that we all really saw each other. And during that time, one of our elders, Theta, she had talked about, you know, welcoming new life. And one of the things that she said that, you know, way long time ago, our babies were kept inside and not really taken outside, not really had, you know, too many guests. And so really creating that safe and sacred bubble. And so that's one thing that I thought back on a lot is, you know, this, although there is a lot going on right now, the only thing that I can control is the sacred space within my home. And welcoming our little girl Hesea into the world was amazing and has been such a great and awesome experience. And so that's been the main thing that I've been focusing on, is just, you know, creating healthy spaces here within the home, whether that's like organizing or I've been doing a lot of organizing or like keeping the place clean. I've noticed that if the place is cluttered or whatnot, I start to get stressed out. So trying to keeping it clean. And learning, I feel like at a very faster pace of how to be parents. You know, Tomas and I we've been with each other 24/7 for the past couple years, I feel. And so that was, you know, something that I feel like we have definitely strengthened quite a bit. And I just am so appreciative of the way I view the world now than before, and so much appreciation, so much more thanks, and reestablishing relationships, really seeing, you know, and reaching out to my loved ones that I care about on a daily basis was awesome, because there were some relationships where I wasn't as active, and now we're, yeah, just strengthening our family bonds during this time, which has been good. All right. And I think I'll pass it to Josh, right?
Perfect. 2020, man. We asked once, by once I mean a few days ago, youth to go and gather like a scavenger hunt, go get something in the house that represents 2020. And this one kid brought back a roll of toilet paper. I thought he was going to talk about the great toilet paper shortage of 2020, but he's like, this year's been crap, ready to wipe it away. So it's intense, man. I feel like that was such a big question. But all right, I have another question though. I have another question for everyone here. And for you guys too in the comments, definitely keep up with the comments, and we encourage you guys and love when you interact with us. So we really are watching, and we're grateful for your participation too. But Kyle, is our new year started in June, actually, with the summer solstice. My question to you guys is, when did your people's new year start, and what does winter mean? Like, what are you guys doing in this time of preparation? Have I frozen? Kind of looked like that for a second. Dang it. All right. Did you guys get that question? Was that hard?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zib.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
So I was just having this conversation with my dad yesterday. And so our new year for Diné Navajo people, our new year started back like in October. And so yeah, we're pretty much in it. Into the new year already. And for me, our winter time represents like a lot of when we share our stories and knowledge, because we have to respect certain spirits and deities during the summertime, and a lot of our animal relatives who are hibernating right now. That's why we're able to share our stories now. And this, I was raised partly on the res and also partly in a border town, where there was like some Navajo classes, but they didn't always have like a positive vibe to them. Everybody always complained about the teachers being mean and like getting bad grades, and so I was like, I don't want any bad grades. And so unfortunately, within those resources that were available to me, I wasn't motivated to learn as much in school. But out of school, my dad carries a lot of our just ceremonies and whatnot in our family. And so as we go more into like this new year, and as we're in the sacred time, one thing I do want to work on is like asking my dad more questions, and being intentional with each conversation that we have, because usually we just like crack up and crack jokes. That's my dad and I's relationship. We like to, laugh and joke about people at the coffee store or what, I don't know. He has these crazy stories. And so, yeah, I feel like my dad and I, my family was split apart when I was young, when I was like 4 years old. And since then he's, he has reached out and he's consistently has done that work. And it was really until this year, and I realized how precious life was, that I started to reach back out to him. I started to engage more, and we started to learn a lot more about each other. And so, yeah, this year I feel like and talking about ceremonies and being in this winter sacred time, I want to definitely be more intentional with like conversations that we have, and ask him more about like our ceremonies and just different prayers and songs that go along with each season. Yeah. Is that okay? So yeah, woohoo, winter time, New Year. We started in October and we had we did like a prayer. And yep. Okay, take it away, Shailene.
I can go next. Yeah, ours also was at solstice, and for us, winter is a time for stories and so many things that can be spoken about and brought up again, and this is one really cool thing about this transition to being basically forced to go online, is that how many people can be included in those things now, right? Because like myself, I live in Oregon, where my community is back in Montana, but we can be, we have this like private page that we all go on and update each other. And people have been doing language classes and like telling stories. And last night, we got to hear our New Year's song. Like that's what I think like the internet has become, basically like our new like host community. You know what I mean? Like there's just so much that can be done and shared still together. I think that's been an awesome thing about a good thing that has come out of this pandemic, because there are still good things that have come. I think also we've just been kind of like more intentional here. So my bubble is thankfully with my family, and we've just been kind of like spending time, and also working with NWI. We help support a lot of other families. So it's been like a really like a dedicated time to community, to make sure that like even just like the basic of needs are met. And it's been like a big kind of give back time, more than usual. And it reminds me like, the way that we're brought up is like you kind of manage or see wealth by how much you give. And I know that we're privileged and fortunate enough to have what we need, and we have enough to give. And that's in like a multitude of ways, whether it's groceries or gifts or time, knowledge, so much that my family collectively has gained together, and that we continue to give as much as we can. And so I think, this winter time, we've been really kind of giving focus to that. And it's been really good in a sense to, one, stay busy, because that's important for me to like basically feel useful. But also in this like, it's fun, like everyone has been getting involved. We have these like youth groups, and we put kits together every week, and like the whole family's been getting involved, down to like the 3-year-old niece like sorts bags, and oh, who does this go to, and who does this go to, but to be able to teach her as well, like this is giving back, and this is supporting community, and having those conversations while we're like putting bags together, and a lot of the time like food, right, like giving food, and still basically centering everything around food, and it's been this really cool basically learning time, and the year of big auntie energy all the time, right? Like there's so many new babies, and it's been a blessing to be able to know that no matter what is happening, that there's good things to focus on, and so much new life as well that has entered the world, which is going to make it, that much better when we can all be together again. So I think that's been kind of the focus, and with this like new calendar year, for me, it's like, if I think about it, it's like the kickoff, or to re-inspire if I need that push, like, and I encourage it. If this new calendar year helps you do more of what you love, I hope it does. Like, I hope it's this like kickoff and inspiration that you need, and to do the things that make you happy and make you whole again. And because there's so much, right? And to kind of refocus ourselves and see what we're giving more attention to, and what we should be giving attention to, and whatever that may mean for our lives. Yeah, I'll kick it over to Tomas.
Well, remember to unmute. Yeah, thank you, Josh, for this question. I was going to bring that up as well, as like just the fact that in dominant culture we go through this Gregorian calendar, and we have so many different ways of observing, a full year in our respective indigenous communities. So for on my Zuni side, it's there's the two solstices, Deshkwi, and so it's a time of observance, time of fasting, and a time to really reflect about, our lives and our family units. There's other religious practices as well. A big one for the winter is Shaliko, and I was really excited for Hesea to be a part of Shaliko this year. It wasn't possible, and part of my reflection was just thinking about when that time comes, making sure that Sierra and I are not only raising her in her Dene side, but also her Ashwi side and her Raramuri side, and at least speaking with her and teaching her over time the reasons why we pray in certain ways, or make certain sacrifices. And so during the winter and summer solstices, certain businesses are actually, most of them, shut down. And so it's like, in this day and age, especially me being in the city, it's a different experience. The fact that, just keeping it 100, I spent most of my time in the city, in West Phoenix, and we would travel back and forth quite a bit. But I think there's a lot to put into practice, and a lot to consider when you want to hold on to your teachings, right, when you live in the city. And I love something that Dosh talks about, our brother Dosh Collins, if you guys are familiar. He talks about how it's important for our people to basically respond to these things, right, that happen in our daily life, or to our families, that while we have our traditions, when we're very intentional and speak to our elders, and we speak to each other as Indigenous nations, we find ways to change things that we need to stay alive and to stay safe. And I really appreciate, and I've tried to think a lot about that, especially during the solstice time, while maintaining that level of respect, right? And not just, taking things into my own hands or anything like that. It's about really understanding the fact that if we are so rigid that we, don't want to change in certain ways, it can actually mean more harm for ourselves or for our families. So what ways can we open up our minds and our hearts to make sure that we're still living in our Indigenous life ways, but staying safe. So that's just something I think about during the solstice. It sounds like I'm trying to say that Worcestershire sauce during solstice. you know, when I think of the calendar date changing, it's like, okay, now I need to remember to write this different number or type out a different number. But I really like, even for people's birthdays, to say like, you know, happy trip around the sun. Like this understanding that we are revolving in motion. I think even thinking about that is really important. And as we observe our solstices, like let's say here in the northern hemisphere, the winter solstice, knowing that our indigenous relatives in the southern hemisphere are going through their summer solstice. And so just having that level of mindfulness is really important. And so 2 cute babies on screen. We're blessed. But yeah, just a time of reflection, clearing the mind during solstice. That that thoughtfulness of being giving and understanding what we, you know, have already. And I feel like preparing my mind so that in 2021, it's like, what am I asking? Do I want more things and more things in the next coming year? Or am I also asking, you know, how can I give more this upcoming year? I felt like I gave a lot in this previous year, but can I give more still? Or can I give in different ways? So those are some things I think about. Sarah, do you have a new, or you haven't gone, Shay, sorry.
No, Josh has to go.
Oh, Josh, you have to go.
I like how I just kind of assumed everyone started on summer solstice because in our little circle in Oklahoma where I was growing up, that was usually it. But that's cool. I didn't know that your New Year started in October. Sid, that's dope.
Really dope.
Yeah,
I
man,
was born in October.
Hey.
Libras.
It's a magical month, man. It's a magical month. Yeah, I was like thinking about kind of how this year, like specifically, I've never really given it too much thought, but there was coming up to New Year's, like Christmas was our big focus, just because it would be baby's first Christmas, and we were saving her first foods for that time. So she got a sweet potato and then spewed it all up. So maybe too soon, I don't know. But when I was thinking about New Year's this year, I was like, God, it is just like another day, you know? And all of the energy and focus that we put into that seems like a lot, like hard and fast, really quick fix kind of thing. Like, ooh, tomorrow, you know, next year I'm gonna be in the gym every day. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Because we just spent 365 days not doing that. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of like kind of like snappy, it's gotta happen right now kind of thing, feeling to it almost. Mommy's just outside. Hold on one second. And I just thought that was so strange. And I feel like that's a lot of like dominant culture and like the holiday season around that time, because very, very different approach when it comes to like our indigenous views on the new year and what it means to go into the next one. You know, it's like winter's the time to rest, not be lazy, but rest. And then prepare yourself when the like medicines wake up, when it's time to start going. And then summer's like the time to give away, everything's alive. And then again, we get to begin to slow down a little bit and fall. You know, this year, man, like from from June until now, been really focusing on like preparing for this next coming summer. There's hope right on the horizon with the vaccine, but we're still in the middle of a pandemic. And I feel like a big theme leading into this next year, into our summer solstice, is going to be, for us at least, what's the difference between like real risk and perceived risk? We still want to live life, still want to have fun, but we got to be safe about it. And that's been something that's kind of come back into mind. It was something that we used a lot in school when they were talking about gauging like the ability of the group that you were guiding in whatever pursuit, whether it was sea kayaking, mountain biking, like rock climbing, or expedition style like hiking or trekking, as we called it in New Zealand. So that whole idea of like perceived risk, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so cold, oh, everything out there is poisonous, and if it bites me I'll die, like that's perceived. But the real risk, you know, measuring that against it, and what would life be different if we knew the difference? Like if we, all of us in our own individual life and walk knew for ourselves, what does it mean for this like perceived risk or real risk? And, you know, how many languages would we speak? How many places would we have gone, you know, that we otherwise wouldn't have? And I really hope that that continues on into the next year, and we as a family grow up with it. But that's just been like something that we've been thinking about. If you're wondering where my mustache went, it's not real. My Indian genes are too strong. I can't grow one. So Zoom is the only place I get to live out my mustache dreams and look like Amson. So, but I'll pass it over to Sib.
Hey, y'all. All right. So I'm going to facilitate the next question. And that is, have you picked up a new hobby in 2020? If not, is there a new hobby that you want to do in 2021? Yeah. Go.
Yeah, I can start with this one. I feel like, and for my family who's watching, well, they already know, I started beading in 2020. I refused to do it like the entirety of my life. And then I started. And I feel like I haven't stopped. But it's been it's been really awesome to have a new form of art for me. Just a new way to express. It's been a lot of gift giving. It's been a lot of trial and error, seeing what works, what doesn't. And I just kind of like ran with it. And it's been a good time. And then what I want to do, I think a couple of times on Josh and I's travels, like picked up quills along the way. And I think that might be something I move into next, but we'll see. I think, you know, we've just been going with it, whatever kind of happens. Like I try to balance life out with like working 24/7 to finding little pockets of what can I do creatively next. But it's been a good time. And I think being home, there's just so much that we can do, right? And kind of like changing the mindset around, because at first I was going nuts, and then I started beading and everything was kind of okay, because it kind of slows me down in a different kind of way. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. What about you guys?
Bro, new hobbies, fastest diaper changer in the West, 4.3 seconds flat. But I think painting, I started painting. I joked about this with the group when we started painting with them. We were doing this with support circles, youth groups. And I was like, oh man, it's like the first time since 4th grade I've started painting, you know, and they look the same. But it's fun, man. It's like super relaxing. And our 3-year-old paints too. And it's cool. You know, he's super messy. So he just gets down into his underwear and goes just wild. And he's created some cool stuff. Like it's a fun, like family bonding thing. And then I guess one of the other things too is my dad is an engineer and has always had construction crews. What the heck are you talking about? That's not even how it is. And so I grew up building and had the opportunity to go to Papua New Guinea and build and build down in New Zealand as well. I actually do not like commercial building at all. But this year we've built chicken coops and gardens and a little dirt bike track in the backyard for our boy. And it's been fun, man. It's been cool. And, you know, I got to maybe fix the backyard now because I dug it up and made some little tiny mole holes. And I don't know if we're going to keep the garden forever, but yeah, I think that's been fun to get out and do stuff. I really kind of feel like an adult kid now. I've always felt like that, but more so this year. You know, I was like, what am I going to do? I was like, I'm going to build a fort for chickens. And, you know, it just happened. So what about you, Tomas?
For me, since it's fresh on my mind and you brought it up, building is as well. My dad was in construction for over 30 years. And he eventually, in a non-official retirement, started doing more sculpting and artwork, which he's done kind of throughout his life. But I remember going to work with him and the moments of like the rites of passage where like he'd leave me at a job site all by myself, and I'm like, yeah, I got this, and I'm like moving all these sacks of concrete and boxes of tile up two flights of steps. But I think Sierra and I, since we moved to this current home during the pandemic and bringing in a new baby, we've put a lot of intention in building and making the inside really nice and comfortable. I did a couple of things outside that I'm looking forward to in this year. We still have another year in our lease to do more work outside. And the handful of times that I got to see my dad during this 2020, and he's come over and I've done like candy stuff. I know it's kind of like, he's proud. He's still going to critique me and be like, oh, I don't know why you're using this over here. But I'm like, all right, Dad. But then overall, I see that little twinkle in his eye of like, all right, son, you got what it takes. And that makes me feel good. So I'm going to put together Sierra and I want to build some gardens as well, some hanging gardens or raised gardens. Somebody did a terrible job of putting dirt, like, I guess they didn't use it how they wanted to, so they just spread it around in the backyard. So like our backyard's not flat, and I want baby not to sprain her ankle. She doesn't have to. So I'm gonna get a skid steer and I'm just gonna drive that sucker around and flatten out the. I'll make sure to record that so I can share with everybody. So there's that. But one thing, kind of like Shay, for the longest time, I wanted to really develop and put together a music project, like an actual, like, here's an album. So these are sound panels behind here, and this is like a little reflection filter thing. I'm building a little home studio, and because my wife has allowed me to. Thank you, Sierra. Appreciate you. Love you. And at the end of this upcoming 2021, there should be
allowed you to. First of all,
hold on, I'm not done.
It's kind of like, oh, hey babe, I have this. I'm like, okay.
She's like, what are these boxes on the porch? Oh, that's the order for an isolation booth. I'm just kidding.
That is exactly how it's been.
Well, you've heard it here. It's going to be an album by the end of 2021. As you were talking, Josh and Shay, about beading, I was like, man, like, there's such a huge thing about the marketing, right? Like you said, Josh, it's like snap of the fingers, oh, things are going to change. 2021, the new year. I started thinking, like, what if like people try to market like beads that way? You're like, yeah, you got these 2022 beads. I was like, what does that even mean? Like, people trying to take advantage of this number like it's like something super special. But shout out to you, Josh and Shay, who've answered and started doing more of your projects. I'm proud of you. I've seen your chicken coop, I think, a couple of times. Definitely inspiring, Josh. And we actually have the first major beadwork project from Shay, which is, it's a blessing. You could see a little bit on the corner. It's right there under the basket, and verified by the elders that it's something special. She's a Jedi master of beadwork. How about you, love? How about you?
Okay, so I have gotten into writing, and specifically within this planner, which is called the Happy Planner. If you don't know about the Happy Planner, it's a crazy like group of folks. And there's this planner that's sold at like Michael's and Joann's. And my aunt, before Hosea was born, gifted me a Happy Planner. And she was like, oh, here's this planner. Like, she's a teacher. And so she's like, it's so awesome. You can write this and that. And it's basically like a combination of a journal and a planner and a scrapbook all in one. And so this past year, I was influenced by this woman. Her name is Callie Wolf on Instagram. And she had talked about some things that her mom did when she was a baby. And that was anytime that little baby Callie did like a milestone, she would write it down in the calendar. And so I thought that was really cool. And so anytime that Hesea did anything, or just like different little reflections that I have at the end of the day with her, I write them down. And it helps because now I'm like, oh, what time did I start my labor? What time did I start my contractions? And I can like look back and see what I wrote and like relive that moment. And I can't wait to, you know, once this is all over, to like sit down with my family and like kind of go through it and like tell them little stories about the whole year without forgetting anything. And so that's, yeah, something that I did. And for the longest time, I feel like I was really insecure about writing. And that's just because I have the worst handwriting. First of all, I have really bad handwriting. And I cannot spell English. I'm like always, and it's really hilarious because Tomas is actually an English writing major. And so that's why I have him around. I'm just kidding. And so I always ask him like, oh, how do you spell this? Or how do you spell that? And he helps me out a lot. And so that's something that I want to continue to do, and I want to get better at, is like writing. And I've done like planning stuff, and just, yeah, at the end of the day, writing. I feel like that's really helped me throughout my day, because I'm like, oh, like I feel like before I was like, oh, what do I do all day? Like at the end of the day, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like so lazy. I don't even know like what did I do all day? And like after, you know, writing stuff down, I'm like, oh wow, I do a lot, like every day. So that's, yeah, helped me. And one thing that I want to get into more would be getting outside. And for the longest, I was like, due to where I lived at the time, I grew up in Page, Arizona. And if you don't know Page, Arizona, it is beautiful. Oh my gosh, it is such a beautiful place, and I miss it so much. And so every day, like, we would go hiking and take pictures, and I really miss that. And so that's something I want to do more. We live in Phoenix, and so there are some hiking places within the city on some like mountains, little mountains. And so going hiking there more, and taking Hesea on for the cruise. Huh, Hesea? My little hiker. Oh, that's a fart. I just want to say this last thing really quick. We just watched this video of this little boy. He's so cute. I forget who shared it. I have to look again, but I think it's a native nonprofit organization that has to do with biking. And this little native guy, it has on one of those GoPros where it looks at his face. And he's so cute. And he goes down a hill on his bike. And at the end, he like crashes, and you see him crash. And he's like, huh! He's just on his stomach. He's like, oh yeah, that hurt. And then he like gets up. And if you don't know, Tomas and I are super into cameras and documenting. And so I'm like, oh wow, that's gonna be Hesea. We're just gonna like throw a GoPro on her helmet, like her first ride, and see her expression. I'm like, oh man, I cannot wait. And yeah, just want to share that really quick. And if you've seen that video, then you're awesome. You should put it in the comments. Okay. Thank you for listening to me and being my daily dose of medicine power hours. I love you guys. I love that we've been doing this more often. This is also another thing that has really gotten me through 2020, seeing all your faces and just having that constant reminder of like wishing the best for your community. And you know, you don't have to be going all out doing crazy things. Like, you just being yourself and sharing your story can potentially help somebody. And so thankful to be on this platform and share space with people that I really respect, that do a lot of community work, not only on power hours, but I was just on a little training with Shailene and Josh, and I'm so proud of the both of you and all the dedication and all the hard work that you put into our communities and the kids. And if anything, I know that you definitely made some kids in 2020 or some adults, you made the time a little bit more easier when it was really hard. So proud of the both of you.
I got the pass it on. Did I read that correctly, Shay? Oh, that video that Sierra mentioned is really funny. You guys need to check it out. We'll have to link it somewhere. So I'll get this next question. I'll keep it nice and light since we're towards the end here. What is the meaning of life? I'm just kidding. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna do you want a rapid fire one? All right. Okay. No, we can't do rapid fire. I want to do this one. We are, each of us here and everyone listening, we're future ancestors, right? And we're going to have future descendants. Given the information that we now know, what's our message to, for the future, for people that are, going to go through a pandemic, because there'll be other pandemic or other, other challenges. Like what's that one message if we had to keep it tight like a tiger? What is a message that you have?
Yeah, I got one. Creator knew that we needed you here and you're worthy of good things. I think that's the energy that we need to continue to hold on to and move into whatever the calendar year is. It always it always remains true. So to hold on to that and to live life.
Yeah, we have this this one relative, homie since the beginning to all of us, who's actually immune to the virus. And I would say be connected to the land in every way possible, man. Like if you're in the middle of a pandemic, just then trying to figure out ways to be able to be comfortable or have fun outside. Nothing to feel shameful about, but I would hope that our people like grow up like that, and the reason why I say that is because everything in the natural world wants you to succeed, man. Like there are animals out there walking around that are just full on buckskin shirts and dresses, just waiting, just steaks and burger backstrap, and it's just good. And then you have the trees that are breathing for us, and you have the water that's not only beautiful, but it sustains life. And there's everything in the natural wants us to succeed. So when you can't be close to people, you can always be close to the land. And that's my hope, is that we stay close to land. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna hit you with my high school yearbook quote. Just kidding. So I literally did write this in the yearbook. I'm gonna press send right now on our comments, and that's gonna take you to that video I was talking to you about earlier of the little guy riding his bike. So I just put it in the comments, so yeah, I'll check that out. Oh gosh, let me make sure I get this right. Okay, it was said, don't let the world change your smile, change the world with your smile. And so just continue to be, Sierra, little 17-year-old Sierra coming through. And so I know things are going to get hard, they're going to get rough, but you can make somebody's day. Thank you.
That was nice. T-shirt status right there for sure. Check out her merch. I'm just kidding. I don't know if it's in the works. I think that was a beautiful message. I'd say building on those as well is taking healthy risks and being able to have conversations with our loved ones that may, the norm might be that it's uncomfortable, but there's a way to approach it and actually build the connection that we have with each other as siblings, as, a son or daughter, all the different ways that we are related to each other, all the different dynamic ways we are related. And even with the earth and having that conversation and that connection as well, is just like, I think this year has really shown me to do that. And when we have that right intention and step into it, then when we look and kind of move away from that moment where we felt maybe, you know, stressed or overwhelmed, because that intention is good and because we took that healthy risk, that's already building us up and making us stronger for future relationships. And so thinking of, you know, there's so many relationships that we're still going to build and connections that we're going to make. And so the more we work on ourselves to feel good and to understand things of whether it's social justice or the connection that we have to the land, or Josh's goatee and how fabulous it looks right now, we want to be prepared to share those experiences with each other. So thank you, everybody, Alakwa, for tuning in, and sending many blessings to you and your family. For everyone that observed their solstice time or harvest times, for whenever your new year began, I hope it's been blessings since, and that it continues.
And on that note, we'll see you next year. Just kidding. See you next time. Bye, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Peace.